Comics rules everything around me. Cream, get the comics. Dollar bins, y'all. Comic Head 84. That's right, dollar bin edition. For that ass. Coming at you live from the Shaolin Comic Collecting Temple. I dropped $25 and I got 25 gem dollar bin comics that I'm excited to show you. You know, without further ado, let's get to these 25 dollar bin bangers. First up, we have some shiny cover action. You know, as far as shiny covers go, this one is pretty cool. This one caught my eye. I'm a big She-Hulk fan, man, and this one's a pretty legit use of shininess. I gotta be honest. I'm really digging it. I'm really digging the little trade dress image of She-Hulk too. That little red gown. I love this era of She-Hulk where they just drew her as this little bombshell type of chick. She-Hulk's a great character. I hope she ends up in the films, man. How cool would it be to have a badass She-Hulk running around? So, boom. She-Hulk, number 50. Shiny edition. From there, I grabbed some Valiant. Archer and Armstrong, issue number 2. Man, to be honest, I'm very unfamiliar with Valiant. Growing up, I never really read any Valiant. So I don't know, I'm considering maybe going back and reading some of it. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys are familiar with Valiant and are fans of it, let me know. I know there's Archer and Armstrong, Ninjak, Exo Man of War, Bloodshot. You know, I don't know what the good series is. From the descriptions I've got, it sounds like Exo Man of War is the one. So we'll see. I think the premise of Exo is like, it's like a caveman type warrior dude, but with space tech armor, which sounds interesting. But anyway, that's not what we have here. We have Archer and Armstrong, number 2. Bang. Figured I'd grab it. Next up. Look at that. Battle of the Planets, number 12. Alex Ross cover. Dude, where else are you going to find, for $1, Alex Ross doing a Battle of the Planets cover? Even though he does kind of have them throwing up the Nazi salute. That's fine. We're going to look past that. Man, I was really got a kick out of seeing this cover. If you're not familiar with Battle of the Planets, Battle of the Planets is like, it's Gatchaman. It's like an old Japanese anime from the, like, 70s. Late 70s, 80s, Gatchaman. Anyway, pretty cool stuff, man. This is issue number 12 of the Battle of the Planets. This book was put out by Top Cow. I'm not sure if Alex Ross did multiple covers for this. If so, I might have to track down some more of these issues, man, because this is pretty cool. And I couldn't pass it up for $1, huh? Next up, Marvel 1602. I picked up 2 issues of 1602, part 8, and this gem. My favorite cover from the 1602 series. So I was happy to find. I'm happy this was the other one that was in that dollar bin. Issue 4, that Daredevil cover. Man, if you happen to not have read 1602, which you probably have. If you're watching this video, you've probably read 1602. I sure hope you have, because, man, I generally feel like DC does Elseworlds stories a lot better than Marvel does, but this is my favorite Elseworlds Marvel storyline for sure. Bringing the Marvel characters back into the Victorian age, written by Neil Gaiman, illustrated by Andy Kubert. I mean, hot fire. But what's really one of my favorite aspects of this series were the covers. These covers are drawn by Scott McCloud, and he has such a distinct look in his artwork. To my knowledge, this is the only comic book covers that he's ever done. Like, he does like illustrations for book covers, but a lot of like Huckleberry Finn, Oliver Twist, Alice in Wonderland type deal. But this is the only comic book covers that he's done. And he's like a fine artist, like, one of those fine art type of guys. And the reason why this stuff looks so distinct, it has such a distinct look, he does like a scratchboard style. It's a type of engraving, really. And my understanding is, like, if you have a bunch of ink on a piece of wood, I believe, I don't know if it has to be wood, but and you scratch away the ink to reveal the white underneath. So anyway, this series awesome. This cover is dope. Blind Daredevil, Archer, scratchboard style, Scott McCloud. I definitely have this in trade paperback, but I wouldn't mind hunting down all the issues. I think there's 12 of them. Really cool series. $1 a piece. Holla. Next up, Incredible Hulk number 427. I mean, that cover. Need I say more? How dope is this image of big ass Man-Thing creeping out from a swamp on the Hulk? And I love the way they did it, where they have Man-Thing just like towering over the Hulk. Incredible. This cover is off the chain. Personally, I don't like to read a lot of Incredible Hulk. I've never been a fan of really the Hulk storylines. There haven't been many that have captured me like that, but man, I couldn't pass up this cover. I do love the Man-Thing, so really dope Hulk Man-Thing cover right there, number 427. Next up, look at this fucking thing. Back to the Future, number 22. Shit, 22. I didn't even know they had a Back to the Future comic series. IDW, Back to the Future series. This is a variant cover for this issue, number 22. And dude, it is hot fire. Sick Doc Brown, cover art. I mean, need I say more? Pretty sick. Oh, next up. These are some straight up gems, guys. Mr. T and the T-Force. What? Mr. T and the T-Force, which I guess is a thing that exists out there, from Now Comics. They come with, each issue comes with a trading card. This is him saying lights, camera, action, while he's throwing a tire at a dude and he's got a film camera in his hand. So, action packed for sure. It's a bagged issue, so it's bagged within a bag. So I didn't open it up. I don't want to break the seal in the bag, so I'm gonna have to just let the curiosity get to me of what the fuck is going on inside this issue. But I didn't just grab number 4. I also grabbed number 5, which the trading card is the cover image for number 4. But the real issue of Mr. T and the T-Force that just takes the cake is easily issue number 6, y'all. Now, there's a lot going on here in this cover. We got Mr. T in a boxing ring, not wearing boxing gear. He's just rocking his street clothes, back fisting a dude with his left hand. Mike Tyson is chilling in the corner, lumped up from a beating that presumably Mr. T just handed his ass. So you got a whooped Mike Tyson on the cover. In the trading card included in this issue is Mr. T in a pair of sandals, open-toe sandals, chilling with a multicultural cast of neighborhood youth. You know what I'm saying? Just incredible. Incredible. This is this book is gonna make me chase down this series the same way that when I found that Chuck Norris issue in the dollar bin, it made me chase down the rest of them because I just love these like 80s action stars and shit. So I think this is gonna trigger the same thing. I believe this is a 10-issue series, and I got 3 of them, 4, 5, and 6, and I guess I have no choice but to hunt down the rest of Mr. T and the T-Force because, man, off the hook. Next up, this is a super obscure book to most people, I would imagine. This hit me with some heavy nostalgia. This is Prime #1, and this is a book that was made. I don't know if this book ever left my city, let alone the state. I mean, I don't know what the circulation of this thing is. You can see how it's like, basically looks like it's in colored pencil, you know? The interior is black and white. It's a wraparound cover. I'd be surprised if anyone recognizes this. If so, definitely let me know in the comments. These are a local team here in Massachusetts. If you couldn't guess from my accent and when I get fired up, the way that I drop my A's, yes, I'm from Massachusetts, and there was like a local duo, artist-writer duo, that put out this comic back in the 90s. Shout out to my brother and my boy Dave, who the reason why I know about this book is because they both had the issue signed by the creative team. You know, I think they made like an appearance at a comic shop while they were there or something like that. I think they met the artist too. So shout out to you, Dave and Jeff, if you're watching. Yeah, and if anyone else knows of this fucking thing's existence, leave it in the comments. Definitely let me know. I was pretty gassed to find this in a dollar bin. Next up, from here on out, it's all #1s, y'all. I got a stack of #1s. That Prime issue was the first #1 of the list of ones here. So, Nightcrawler #1. You know, to be honest, I was never really a fan of like swashbuckling Nightcrawler. Pirate Nightcrawler was never really doing it for me. I like, you know, somewhat tortured soul circus act Nightcrawler, who's heavily Catholic type of dude. Nightcrawler's a man, really cool character. But, you know, even though the pirate gimmick didn't really fly for me, I was still happy to grab it. An interesting little whatever you call these at the bottom here. I don't know what that little cartoon guy is supposed to... Well, I guess it's a Nightcrawler, but I don't know. That's like Scotty Young before. That dude doing some early Scotty Young action, I guess. Next up, Ragman. Ragman #1, DC. I don't even think this character's like in the mix anymore, but really dope cover. This isn't like a first appearance of Ragman or anything. Ragman's been around for a while. This might be like a volume 3 or 4 of this character, but he's got a cool design. That cover is fucking badass. That is a badass cover of Ragman. So, had to pick it up. Next up, I have a #1 and a #2 combo. Conan and the People of the Black Circle, #1. And #2, which has a really dope cover. The inside work is really good in this too. Conan and the People of the Black Circle, #2. So, pick this up. I know they're relaunching Conan. Marvel's relaunching Conan. sometime in the near future. So apparently Conan's trademark or whatever has been passing hands, because this is a Dark Horse title, and I guess Marvel's dropping a Conan series now. So I wonder what the, you know, what the details of that are. If Marvel had to go out of their way to purchase the rights to Conan, I imagine they did. Anyway, really cool covers. I'd like to get some Frazetta Conan art, but this stuff is pretty close. It's definitely inspired by Frazetta, so happy to grab those for $1. Next up, again, another #1 issue. Peter Parker, Spectacular Spidey, #1. Chip Zdarsky, Adam Kubert. You know, a cover grab, but a really sick cover indeed. You know, we're getting a little Superman swipe here on this cover of Spidey, and I'm digging it, man. We got some shiny cover goodness with the Secret Defenders, #1. The Secret Defenders, this team is comprised of Doctor Strange, Wolverine, Nomad, Darkhawk, Spider-Woman. That's an interesting lineup, man. That's the Secret Defenders. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Nomad isn't Nomad Bucky or Winter Soldier? I think he is. But it's kind of a cool lineup. I liked Spider-Woman when she was rocking that black and white outfit. So that's dope. Darkhawk is the man. So had to grab that. Had to grab that shininess. The other #1, Batman Beyond, #1 from the Rebirth era. Batman Beyond's a pretty legit character. Usually, man, when it first came out, when that cartoon first came out, it was fresh off of Batman animated series, and it just seemed kind of gimmicky to me. Like almost the same way that I think they dropped like a Spider-Man cartoon along those same lines. Spider-Man Unlimited, maybe it's called. And it was like this weird futuristic version of Spider-Man with a whole different cast of characters and villains, and it wasn't Peter Parker. So the same way I just had straight up disinterest in that shitty Spider-Man cartoon, I thought I would have the same reaction to Batman Beyond, but somehow, man, they turned Batman Beyond into like a legit character and had its own interesting series, its own interesting villains. So hey, props to Batman Beyond and enduring. Terry McGinnis. Dope cover. Man, the Rebirth era of #1s, or just the Rebirth era of comics, they put out such sick #1 covers. Like, they really, really did. Almost every Rebirth #1 issue that I find has like a really legit cover. So I was happy to grab that. My boy Darkman. Darkman #1. Really sick cover. Tearing through. I love the little subtitle there. Enter a Theater of Madness. Pretty dope. And I also grabbed issue #2, which that cover is off the hook. Really cool. Darkman is just a cool looking motherfucker, man. He doesn't, I will say, these two guys could be cousins. Ragman and Darkman, that's for sure. Couple bandaged up dudes. Throw in Homeboy from Doom Patrol and we got a trio. And they're really thick, man. These are thick comics. Might have to give these a read. Darkman, buck a piece. Next up, I grabbed the #1 of Hellstorm. Hellstorm, Prince of Lies. He's back, and there's hell to pay. To be honest, I don't really know shit about Hellstorm. I think He runs with, or has appeared in Ghost Rider comics, but this was just a straight up cover grab. I saw that cover and I was like, oh shit. Just like the color palette on this thing, that Sierra type of color with just the red highlights on the trident, the whatever you call that star thing, and his name. And just when you look closer, the art on this thing, like that chick, what a sick image. Hexagram. Is that what these things are called? Hexagram? I don't know. I don't worship Satan, bro, so I don't know the lingo. But Hellstorm, #1, man. Got it. Next up, Justice Society of America, #1. This one hit me with some heavy nostalgia too. And this book has triggered in me wanting to chase down this series, because this series I loved, because back as a young buck, like probably one of the first comics I bought. It was definitely in my first little collection that I put together when I was like, I don't know, I would have been maybe 9 or 10 years old, something like that, were these Justice Society of America issues. I didn't have #1, but I had this issue here. I had a couple of them, but I had this comic. I did not buy this with this dollar bin haul, but buying this made me pull this out of my box. I've had this for a long time, and it's got a bunch of spine wear on it. And I probably bought this thing when it was in mint condition, but I just read the fuck out of this comic. This was like one of my favorite comics as a kid. I just fell in love with that cover. That cover just blew me away. I like how they had, what this series was doing was like these old school Golden Age characters, but they're kind of drawn in like the DC animated universe style, which is really cool. It's a cool mix up to have like these really old school classic characters drawn in like that modern, kind of Bruce Timm type of style. And it was really cool. I used to try and like learn to draw from these issues, because this kind of more simplistic style, it lends itself well to, as a kid I was looking at that like, hey, maybe I can kind of draw that, as opposed to looking at some Alex Ross shit and it's just like, no way. So anyway, I just figured I'd bring that out. That was one of my faves as a kid. But grabbed the #1 issue, Justice Society of America. Really happy to grab that. And again, this is going to trigger me hunting these books down for sure. We're down to the last 3. Down to the last 3 issues. I told you they're all going to be #1s. This one, Marvel Age #1. 25 cents. This thing might be worth 25 cents. I don't know. I don't even know if it's worth $1. I know these things were getting a little more attention once, I think it was like just in the last year or two, the Overstreet Price Guide started recognizing Marvel Age in the pricing guide. And I think they're considering a couple of Marvel Age issues as like key first appearances for characters and stuff like that. So anyway, found the #1 issue. I don't really know who this fella is on the cover. The story behind Crystar. Maybe it's Crystar, but yeah, I couldn't leave that one there. Marvel Age #1. You can't leave that in the box. The final 2 are some bangers. All those are, cool dollar finds, but these last 2, I was actually pretty pumped to find them. Darkhawk, baby. Darkhawk #1. In like mint condition. This thing was sitting very well in that dollar bin box, because that thing is crispy. Shout out to Centauri Stir Fry. I really dig that guy's channel. He's a funny bastard. And he's always talking about bringing back the New Mutants, and he wants Donny Cates to write for the New Mutants. And I am totally on board with that. If he puts a petition together, I'll fucking sign that thing. So, anyway, Darkhawk #1. This book has been getting a little bit of attention lately. I can't imagine it's gonna do anything crazy, but you know. Oh my, hold on. You know what that beep means? That beep means countdown to the last issue, which was a pretty good find in the dollar bin, if I must say so. Punisher War Journal #1. Very pumped to find this. Punisher's my guy. War Journal was just a really dope series, and bang, #1 issue. I love that cover, classic. This story was classic, and it is like a pristine issue of #1. Well, up there's a little something there, but that for sure can be pressed out. So, bang, Punisher War Journal #1. That's it for this dollar bin video. Dollar bin bangers. $25, 25 books. That's the best $25 you're ever gonna spend right there, if you ask me. And keep digging in those dollar bins, y'all. Catch you next time. Peace.